My mother loved the color blue. Yeah, I can absolutely remember too many blue jackets that she would buy for me. Blue windbreaker, blue down jackets, blue, vests. And I've probably always had a blue jacket vest sweater, something with blue in it. All of these years, even after she's passed away, I can remember, getting ready to run down to the lake, on the dock, and her just grabbing a hold of me. I had a lot of energy. For those of you who grew up with me, you remember. And she would just grab me and have me hold still out of pure love, and then wrap this warm, incredible jacket of, just kick me off down to the lake. And this was in Wisconsin when I was really little. And as we moved off to, playing on the lakes, in California, Southern California, outside of Newport Beach, around Spyglass, just these little man-made type lakes. And, she would always have this blue windbreaker, if you will. I can remember going to the beach in the blue windbreakers all the time. So there was always something blue. And here I am wearing a blue vest at, well over 50. So, yeah, do I live with a gratitude of the love that she shared with me? Absolutely. Am I nostalgic? 100%. Do I live in the present? I absolutely do, but a ton of the moments that I'm in the present have something that came from the past that had a huge meaning or a moment. And that's what leads. I mean, I'm sitting in front of a 100-year-old log home that I get to work on right now, which I'm so blessed. And the gal that owns it is an incredible woman, and just a lot of history. So I love that. It's not even just about the history. It's about people that took their time. It was very tactile back in the day. It wasn't machines building everything. And this all just brings me into the conversation of, I can remember sitting on a dock on a lake in Wisconsin and just mesmerized by the water, looking down to see the fish in the clean water. And this is all the makings of an outdoorsman. I pretty much lived in suburbia and was brought up in suburbia. But I can remember the impact of the outdoors, the beach life, water. Water was a key one for me. I love fishing. It led me to be a fishing guide, traveling the world, surfing, making surfboards with my great friend Cordell, who we still chat to this day, once, twice a week. You have to bear with me. I'm getting a little sneezes from their hang down the road, so there's a lot of the grass in the air and the wind's blowing. Makes my nose have a little fun. I might sneeze. Either way, we'll have a good time. Nostalgia and the making of an outdoorsman. Me, Yancey. We all have different reasons and why we sit back and enjoy things. And I'm just going to bring this out to you guys and let you enjoy it, and hit the comments, share your stories. This platform is going to be for just reflecting. I believe in living in the present moment, getting out, enjoying the outdoors. My main focus for myself is I love fly fishing. I've been teaching people to fly fish. I love throwing spey rods. I love the classic bamboo spey rods. And I love upland bird hunting. And I'm really diving deep into the double guns. That's what I got into it with by accident. Was there was a side-by-side, looked pretty cool, and I grabbed that. And I got into bird hunting. Then I got bird dogs, and I've ran through a whole bunch. So we're going to share all of these things. But right here, right now, what led to everything that I am today as far as the outdoors and the camaraderie with people in the outdoors. Excuse me on my sniffles. Oh, I might absolutely sneeze, and when I do, it's like 9, 10, 12 of them in a row. So, and I'll tell you what, if I do it, I'll just leave it here for you guys to laugh and enjoy. Sitting in Newport Beach as a kid, after being in Wisconsin super young, bluegill. I can remember catching bluegill. My dad would take us down, and there was this crazy climbing, thing for kids, jungle gym. It was plastic, but see-through, kind of looked like an ice cave. My sisters would play on it. I think it was just one sister at this moment. It was just Sherry and me, and I can remember just my dad took me down and gave me a rod and reel, and I was out there fishing, just pulling up bluegill after bluegill. One time specifically, my dad took the extra effort, filleted the fish, and that was a new experience for myself as well. But just seeing the fish after we caught it, filleting the fish, he took the time to grill it up. We ate it. Probably tasted like mud. I can't remember what it tasted like, but just the experience of it all really just kind of brought to me this love and passion for fishing and getting into the outdoors, which later really triggered off to where I was full-time guide. And again, I would have 3 generations in my boat. There'd be a grandpa, a dad, and a grandson. We would do a shore lunch. And that whole circle of creating those memories, I could see grandpa still just tear rolling down his eye, dad proud as ever, and the kid was even prouder than dad holding his trout. And then we cooked it, and the kid helped me build a fire. And that happened many, many times. And I really feel that I can remember all the way back to when I was a kid. My dad did it for me. And I'll say there was not a piece of water that I wouldn't look down, try to see the fish swimming around, having a lot of fun. And the process of all of that, then leading into, I got into spear fishing and, fishing offshore in both California, Florida. Had great friends and mentors. And then I punched it out west, Montana, Wyoming, trout fishing, hiking, climbing, bird hunting. Had a great friend who introduced me. I wasn't into the gun thing ever until I got introduced into upland bird hunting. And that led to an entire new, side career where I did some, guiding. And, got the dogs, got too many dogs. A lot of stories that'll come up about that. But all in all, when we do these things, there's the feeling and the nostalgia of the moments when you're out there and creating the memories in the present moment. Like right now, I can feel the wind blowing by, the aspen leaves are blowing. And I can see it. The leaves are just starting to turn. We're at the very first signs that fall is coming. And a lot of people know that feeling of fall where the air changes, starts cooling. And that's where this whole Flannel Moments came up. Excuse me. Is to share stories that people make, in the outdoors, the cabin life, the cabin culture, being on a lake, being on a mountainside, being in a valley, looking at the lake, hiking. But when that moment slows down and we get back to, people being people, caring for one another, family time, having a moment to be thankful for just the things that we have in the world, the outdoor world. I don't mean the material things, but just the time shared together. And we're going to share tons of stories. And right here, this one, my first memories of catching fish, bluegill, in suburbia, Southern California, below these beautiful homes that wealthy people lived up and above in spyglass at the time. You gotta remember this is back in the 80s, early 80s. And just catching fish, learning how to catch them on my own, developing that confidence. We're talking tiny little dude. And then also back in Wisconsin, out there on the lake, feeling the air. Then as an adult, still pushing forward into the outdoors, those crisp mornings. And I feel that a lot of people would like to find ways to get back to that. And that's what this is going to be for is, you'll be able to reach out to me. There's always a way to get a hold of me. It's pretty easy. I'm publicly accessible because I sell real estate. I focus on the cabin life, the cabin culture, the outdoors. I'm going to dive deeper in some of these older homes, or the camp life, if you will, like in the North Woods. Those of you that are up in the North Woods, I talked about Wisconsin here, but we're going to be venturing out to the North Woods and, building business there. I love the handcrafted things. My mother was a quilter. And I have some, and I wrap those things around me, and you're going to learn that. I'm a big 6'2" dude. I love the outdoors, but anybody that truly knows me, my girls, my son, my wife, give me one of those quilts my mom made. I'll wrap it up, sit by the fire, have my dog. Currently, I have a poodle pointer. She's an incredible bird dog. Her name is Mimi. You're going to learn a lot about her in this channel. And sitting there with her, fire crackling, kids giggling, wife smiling. I'm telling you, that's where Flannel Moments evolved from. And it's my wife. She says it's Flannel Moments with the ants. Yes. So gratitude is what really leads to being able to be highly nostalgic. So when I'm reflecting back on things or I'm holding something somebody crafted, it could be currently handcrafted, but with the techniques from the past, or just with the passion diving into it. And just each moment, whatever it is they're doing, it can be a stitch for the quilt. It can be, if you're sanding the stock of a gun, or you're working on some metal work, you name it, whatever it is you do. And if you are one of these people that is involved with that, and you do things like that, and you want to get in here and share some stories of when you were young, I'm inviting you to do that. Or not even young, just anytime. If you've got those classic memories that you think about and you want to share, I'm doing this so that my children can see a record of the love I have for them and my family, my wife, my dog even, and the cats, all of it. I just want to create this record. If you want to get on and have a moment to share so people can get to know you, and if you have something you're building, you would love people to know that you're doing from the soul, from the heart, this is what we want to do here. I'm currently reading a couple books. It's really funny. I'm going to jump real quick to where I'm at currently with the outdoors. My nostalgic feeling of what I do. So currently, I'm into, I'm really getting refocused for my dog and myself into the upland and the side-by-side, the vintage double shotguns. The first one I ever bought was from a fellow in, I guess you could say it's Victor, Idaho, Driggs. Victor Driggs right in there. We call it Drictor. And he had this 20 gauge side-by-side, and I'm not sure what, I think it was a Stevens. And I bought it and I used it for everything. I knew nothing about it. And what you have to realize is that in this time, about 10, 12 years ago, maybe, somewhere in there, maybe 12, 13, I don't know. Terrible with time. But about then is when I grabbed this gun because my friend introduced me to grouse hunting. I was a fishing guide, and come September when the season started, I was able to hunt every single day. And I did. And I went and got a dog, just like that. Her name was Bliss, and she was a Griffon, a wired-hair Griffon. I have a soft spot for the ugly dogs. So that is what I really enjoy. I know a lot of people like the setters and other things like that, but I really like the ugly dogs. They're just beautiful to me. So this Griffon and I hunted every single day, to the point where she had full separation anxiety from me. Like, she had to be with me all the time. I got her as a puppy, and we just started hunting. I didn't even bother with training. I'm not a trainer. I just took her hunting. By the end of that year, she was pointing, retrieving, getting, gun broke, easy. It was in the breeding. The reason I'm sharing that with you is this Stevens that I bought several years. I used it for duck hunting. I used it for goose hunting. I used it for blue grouse, rough grouse, sage grouse, pheasants. I used it for everything. And I literally finally blew that gun completely apart. You know, I had duct tape around the stock. And because of that, I had no knowledge, but I became so engrossed in the hunting and being with the dog that I didn't even have the extra time to know about the gun. There was a whole nother, like, complete section to this newfound, they say it's sport, but for me, lifestyle. And you're going to learn I'm all about the lifestyle. My entire career on real estate is based on lifestyle. You tell me your lifestyle, and then we try to figure out how to help you out in those ways. And I spend more time with people in the woods and on the river than I do with anything else. So completely destroyed this gun. And then I was gifted another gun, side by side. I was working somewhere, and for the tip, they said, I can give you cash or I can send you a wonderful gun for goose and ducks. And that's what they did. And I probably almost destroyed that gun too, because I used it for everything. Goose, ducks, choked full and full. We'll dive into all of this stuff, but a real tight choke. And this old timer was so wonderful and hooked me up with this gun. It's now being currently serviced. I'm glad I didn't completely destroy it. And the reason I'm bringing you into this, how I destroyed these guns. And when I say guns, I just mean these vintage doubles. And apparently, I didn't even know they're all over 100 years old. That's just, ignorance is bliss. But with this, what I've done and found is, along the way, currently, as of recent, like extreme recent moments, is I had to work pretty hard last year. I didn't hunt a whole lot. I didn't go out with my dog much. And this year I was going to make sure we did it. And since we're going to be moving to Wisconsin, I started looking around, what we could do. We're going to be in the North Woods, tons of fishing, tons of grouse, woodcock, outdoor, cabin culture, camp culture. As I was diving into this, it rekindled my love for wanting to be with my dog in the woods. And what do they say? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I'm working on this beautiful home and headphones on, and I've got the bird podcast. And you bear with me because I'm terrible at remembering people's names, but I think Nick is a fellow on that. And then through that, he had the gun company. He sells guns that are Italian made. So I started looking into that. Then I reached out to his buddy Jerry. I called the number and got a hold of Jerry, who instantly on the phone, he's in Italy when I call him just to talk shop. And wow, just the nicest guy. And it was the shortest conversation, but took a moment. Nicest guy, getting ready to see some family. And we'll reach back out to him. And I'll reach back out to Nick and let them know, both know, hey, thanks. So if you're into, the upland hunting and things like that, the Bird Shot podcast is something to look into, and it's just fun. Tons of people talking about books, knowledge, things. Anyways, along the way, not to get too distracted. So gratitude to Jerry, who doesn't even know me from Adam. Nick doesn't even know me. And all of a sudden, this guy comes on, and his name is Doug Stewart. And just my kind of guy, from the way he was talking and his love for double guns and being in the uplands. And apparently he'd written a book. And I'll bring them on. I'll do a whole talk about books and things like that. But these vintage double books that he got, the double gun books that he did, he's got 1 and 2. And I was like, I've got to figure these things out a little bit better than I have, because I've destroyed one and I have one that's being serviced that needs, I got to be careful. But in his podcast, he was talking about, the loads. And man, and when I talk about the loads, that's the cartridge, 12 gauge, 16 gauge, 28, but the power behind it, the velocities, the things. He was talking about a short string or a square shot. And in my case, I've nicknamed it I just want to throw pancakes or throw flapjacks. You throw one of those out there, it's just this big flat, it's thin, everything's coming at once. Boy, did that get my attention, because I realized I have been buying current ammo. That's what destroyed that 20 gauge. Didn't have any of the knowledge. It's what about almost probably destroyed this 12 gauge that I was gifted. And I dove head into these books. I purchased the books. I reached out to Doug. Super easy to talk to. He wrote in the books for my girls, and I've read the books. Now, I am not one of those ones that can read and retain things 100%. That's just one of my own personal little weaknesses. So I've learned that if I'm going to read a book and I really want to internalize it, I've got to read it about 7 times, in the sense to where it all just kind of gets in there. And I've read through it. I'm on my second round through it now. And the reason I share this is, if you are looking to get into all of this stuff, let me save you from destroying guns like I did, and I'm so sorry. And out of the ignorance, and take a moment, get the books, read the books, or call me, reach out to me. I'm still learning. I'm going to be reaching out to Doug. And I've talked to some other people that Doug mentions in his books, and the whole community is incredible. Amazing how supportive they are, especially when you're new. And when I say new, I've been up in the woods. I limited it out pretty much every day I went. I was eating grouse pretty much every single day, for the 3 or so months. There wasn't a day that, that portion of it, between me and the dog and hunting and the low pressure and the places I went and the hiking all day, we're talking 8, 10, 12, 13 hours, taking naps in the field. And we're going to dive into those stories one at a time on this YouTube channel, these Flannel Moments. And that's what the Flannel Moments are. I might just talk to you about sitting by a fireplace. And the people I'm inviting, I would love to have you on. And we'll do, these video podcasts where we can have you share your stories. And the only reason I'm taking the run with this video right here is to kind of give you the vibe of who I am, the level of what we're looking for, gratitude, nostalgic moments, flannel moments, whether it's the cabin culture, the camp culture, out west culture, into the North Woods culture. You're going to learn I like places that are cold, even though the majority of my life was brought up in the sunshine on the beaches between California and Florida. And those that know me well know that I've always preferred the colder weather. And I'm not sure if it's just because of my high level of energy that I had growing up, but I have found that like when people get depressed with, that barometric drop or whatever it is that creates winter and the fall and that feeling, that kind of helped me internalize a little bit instead of just being out and, physically just, doing everything, whether it's surfing all day, fishing all day, hiking all day, just the movement. All of a sudden I could feel like I could read a book, feel like I could sit back and think and allow life to be a little more here, such as right here, right now. And like I say, it's funny how the leaves, there's just a hint of leaves. The smaller brush right now is turning yellow. There's a few aspen trees with yellow, and we mentioned this earlier. So it's on its way, and I can feel it, and that's what gets me ready for I love wearing flannels. And a flannel on a vest to me is like a church suit to most people. Just makes me feel wonderful. So Doug, I'll dedicate this quick intro to you briefly for saying thank you for helping me on this next big adventure that I'll have, learning about these vintage double guns, getting my hands on the proper ammunition, and just enjoying the craftsmanship of it. Mom, thanks for all the blue, beautiful sweaters and jackets and, vests, which I still wear today. The ones that you had bought me are all kind of worn out and gone, but I'm still sporting the blue for you. Dad, I love you greatly for introducing me to the outdoors, as simple as that little bit of a fishing moment was, maybe in your eyes, generated a lifetime passion for the outdoors and the natural world, quality times with quality people. And I just hope you know how much I love all of you. Yeah, I have a ton of love for the world out there. And all of this is, at a level of gratitude because of, let's just take probably the one human in the world that gave as much love as possible was, in my case, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who went out there and put himself out for everybody with absolute love and unconditional love. And that's what I want to kind of generate towards this channel and the people, is to feel a sense of community, love for one another, uplifting each other, caring. So feel free to contact me. I'll figure out how to get it all dialed up into this channel, whether it's I guess it would be in the description. I'll have a way where you can just get a hold of me direct. I'll probably just have, one spot where you can fill out some stuff and it'll come directly to my phone and we can chat it up. And if you have some stories you'd love to share or just talk, or if you have questions, if you're wanting to have this lifestyle and trying to figure out how to get into it, let me know. I can help you, talk about things from my experience. I don't have all the answers, but I can share with you. I've lived all over Montana, Wyoming, Idaho. The list goes on. I'm not even going to dive into that part here. Thank you greatly. Feel it all. Enjoy flannel moments. Right now the breeze is blowing by. Yeah, that's it. I can feel it.